Today, I want to talk about the three mistakes, or three of the mistakes that a lot of internationals make when they start applying for jobs in Denmark. And we are a weird country in terms of we have all of these quirks and things on how things work. So there's a lot of maybe adjustments to make when you start applying for jobs in Denmark. If you don't know me, my name is Diana Lund Nostrom, and I work as a career consultant for internationals applying for academic level jobs, both in industry and academia in Denmark. So basically, if you have a bachelor's degree, master's degree, or above, I can help you with your job search in Denmark. I simply teach you how the Danish market works and how to do job search in Denmark. So the three mistakes that people make when they start applying for jobs in Denmark. The first one, and I think this is probably the one that I see the most, is that they just keep applying like they were at home. So they take the same methods, the same ways of applying for jobs that they had at home, and they just do the same in Denmark. The problem with this is that, like I said just in the beginning of the video, that we're a bit weird. um, a lot of the time in Denmark, we focus on two things that are not as common, maybe as a lot of other places. One thing is we focus on what's the value you can bring to the company, and do we think that you are a good match personality wise for our company and our team. So it's not just only based on your work merits. It's not a pure CV focused, which it is in a lot of other places, right? I'm just gonna drink a little bit of water. Wow, there we go. So in a lot of places, job search is very skill based. And that's not to say that we don't look at skills. We do look at skills, but we look at skills and personality fit, whether we manage to communicate the match between our skills and the company's needs. And the better we are at that, the more likely we'll be to actually get the interviews and land the jobs in Denmark. So the first thing, really stop searching like you're applying for jobs in your home country. I promise you that 99% it will not be the same. So start following people who know the Danish market. This is the same if you actually follow career consultants and people who help you with job search. Make sure that they are people who actually know the market that you're applying in. This is also why I'm very specific. I help people in Denmark. I don't help people in Europe. I know that a lot of the things I say can still be applied in a lot of other countries, but my expertise is in Denmark, and there's going to be things that doesn't work in other countries that work in Denmark. So be specific. Like if you're applying for jobs in Denmark, then listen to people who know about the Danish job market, whether it's me or whether it's some of the people who work in the same industry as me. It doesn't really matter. Well, I prefer that you listen to me, of course, but the point being that listen to someone who knows the market, right? And so that's the first thing. Stop job searching like you're at home. The second thing is photos. um, Again, we are the last thing I've seen, and this is a few years old, so it might have changed a little bit, but we're also very direct about it. But that is that we like photos on our CVs. So that means that the last number I saw was that 70% of the Danish companies likes you to have a photo on your CV when you apply for jobs. Of course, this is also a little bit, it can be based on industry, it can be based on a lot of different things. But in general, that was like what the analysis said at that time. Usually, my advice on this is that if the company does not write anything in the job ad about it, have a photo on there. If they don't want the photo, they will explicitly let you know that they don't want the photo. So in Denmark, when you read a job ad, it will usually say, please send us a CV where you do not include a photo. Make sure not to include a photo, something like that. So, don't do it. Don't include a photo. But if it doesn't say anywhere, then the safer bet is actually to including a photo. And this goes back to what I said before about we hire also based on, do we think you would be a good match? Do we want to like you? And this is super biased. And I'm not saying this is a good image, but I'm saying that it's still based on the numbers is kind of reality in Denmark, right? So that is why we want to kind of focus on stacking the odds. I usually say, because I really like that. It's from Hunger Games, I think, something like that. But the point here being that the more small things you can kind of do to that might not seem super important in by its own, but if you kind of stack all these small things, it's going to make it a big difference, right? So putting on a photo on your CV when you're applying for jobs in Denmark, unless they state otherwise, is a very, very good thing to do. And they can also just go into your LinkedIn profile, which a lot of them will do anyways, and see your photo there. But it's more forthcoming if you just add it. That also means, oh, excuse me, that also means, of course, that you should have a nice professional CV photo. It shouldn't be something that's like, oh, I'm going to a wedding and I have my tux on and I look good, or I have a nice dress on and I look good, so let me just use this photo. No, have a good professionally looking photo taken. This doesn't mean that it has to be taken by a professional. You can take very good photos just with your phone today, if you have a newer phone at least. So just make sure that you have a good professional looking photo. And it can be, my first like real professional-ish photo is taking up against the wall, like the one behind me that's kind of still looking horrible. But then I use Canva to remove the background, right? A good idea when you get photos taken is to kind of, when you have, if the camera is here, like I'm looking into the camera now, turn your body to like a 45-degree angle and then look into the camera. There's something about that. If you go in and look at other people on LinkedIn, other places, kind of look at which photos look professional and let them inspire you as to how to have a photo of yourself. I often have, when I have professional photos, I often have my arms crossed, because for me that is a power pose. It's a power photo for me. I feel confident. I feel good. Other people will maybe say, "Oh, you look closed off." I don't feel closed off. I don't give the vibe, I hope, of being closed off. But to be honest, sometimes as a female, it might also be a good thing to show more power in your photos. Again, depending on what type of jobs you're looking for, of course. And if you notice my photos, the ones I use for my thumbnails here and stuff, I try to be like, have more power in the photos, because I want you guys to see that, right? It's an image to, and hopefully also get that when you see me, but it's something that attracts people. And then hopefully my nice personality is gonna be what keeps you here. Oh, that was hard to say. No, but it's a good, photos important. Let's just move on to that. So the last thing that I want to talk about today, and if you have any questions, just jump them in the chat and I'll answer them after this last thing that I want to say today. If you're watching the replay of this, just post them in the comments and I will jump in and answer them as well. The last thing that a lot of internationals underestimate is how much networking means in Denmark. And networking is not, hey, let's go ask this person for a job. Networking is creating connections with people who can help you out. Networking is having the opportunity to learn about an industry, to learn about a specific company, to learn about all of the things that you can kind of, that can be beneficial for you to know in your job search. So when you are in another country, remember Denmark has a really flat hierarchy. Yeah. So that also means that it's easier to network with people who are potential managers, who are sometimes even CEOs. And basically also I'm the CEO of my own company, but I'm like it's um I'm a one person company, right? So calling myself a CEO might be a little bit like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right to me. But point being that the flat structure in Denmark, even in the bigger companies, means that networking is something we do to learn. It's something we do to exchange ideas and stuff like that. So it's okay to network and to gain knowledge. It's never about asking for a job, but creating a good network and connecting with people creates ambassadors for yourself, which means that you can then go and you'll be more likely to get interviews if you're recommended by someone, right? So that is why don't underestimate the networking part of job search in Denmark. It is super important. I had a client yesterday talk to me about, well, it's really hard because 60 to 80% of jobs in Denmark are never posted. I don't think that is correct anymore. That might have been correct previously, but it's become a lot easier for the companies to post positions now. So I think that number is lower. um, I would guess, and this is just a guess, but 40-50% maybe. And the higher up the ranks you get, the higher that number is. So when you're at CEO manager levels, like or C-suite stuff, little bit under that as well, it's very much often based on networking. But networking is not just that it's not just positive for positions that are never posted. Networking is also positive for the positions that are posted. And to be honest, this is like an example. It's really a stupid example because I had a colleague once. I knew she was looking for a new job, and um, and we were kind of talking. And then I found this job, and I was like, "Hey, this could be interesting." I just like skimmed it really fast, and I was like, "Hey, maybe this is something." I wasn't really looking for anything at the time. And then a few days later, I went into her office and I was like, "Hey, what did you think? Did you read through the ad and blah, blah?" And she was like, "Yeah, I did. You know what? Thank you, but I really think this would be an interesting job for you." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, let me read through it a bit better." And I did, and I applied. I eventually got the job. So the networking part of this, I would never have looked twice at that position if I hadn't had someone in my network who was looking for a job. And I would never have looked at it again if she hadn't said, "Hey, I actually think this is a better match for you." So the power of networking, or not of networking in that sense, but of having a network that you can speak with and that you can kind of um, spar with on the topics, is super, super important. So the three things that a lot of internationals struggle with or keep doing or not doing when they are looking for jobs in Denmark is they keep looking or they keep applying for jobs like they are still applying for jobs in their home countries. Don't do that. Remember to research in this context text Denmark and figure out how is things different. What is the job search like? Feel free to reach out to me if you want help. Again, I work with people with a bachelor's degree and up in terms of job search in Denmark. Two is no photos, or that people don't put photos on their CVs because it's not used where they're from, but in Denmark, it's still fairly used. And then the last thing is that they underestimate the value and the importance of networking and what that can do for the job search. So those are the three things. I'm going to look at the chat. If you have any questions about job search in Denmark, feel free to write them in the chat now, or forever hold your peace. No, that's not what I meant. Or you can also write them in the comments after the video goes, well, after the live, basically. So a few people says hi, what's happening? Well, this is a YouTube live about job search in Denmark. Please look. I don't know where I'm supposed to look. But okay. Okay, so no questions. That is totally fair. Again, I will be back tomorrow with a new theme, and this is gonna be a bit late in the day, probably as well. Like today, it is 8 o'clock p.m. here in Denmark now. But tomorrow, the theme is gonna be the 3 most important things for your LinkedIn profile, and just a little teaser for that. About 3.12 million active LinkedIn profiles in Denmark. Only about 3 million active workers in the workforce in Denmark. We're a small country, but that also means that LinkedIn is freaking important. So if you do not have a LinkedIn profile yet, then you should get one. I actually got rejected from a job once because my LinkedIn network wasn't big enough. Which made sense like afterwards. It was a weird thing, but today I see the point, right? But it's just to say that it's something that's worth doing. Like everybody uses LinkedIn in Denmark. So yeah, that's what the theme is going to be tomorrow. I look forward to it. I have to go to the International Citizens Days tomorrow and Saturday. Look very much forward to that as well. So if you're joining that, it's free in Copenhagen. I'm at stand D25. Come by and say hi and see you saw me on YouTube. That would be amazing. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.